This is the sport of auto-testing, an extremely specialist branch of motorsport, but the principle is the same. The fastest person wins. Drivers are required to negotiate a number of artificial objects in a stated order and from a stated direction. And in doing so, you will see a whole new set of skills: handbrake turns, nose throws, and more. This morning was the final round of the Northern Ireland Championship, in which Robert Dixon won the title for a fabulous 5th time. Now Robert Dixon, along with champions from England and the south of Ireland, take part in our special television invitation competition. And this is something different again. First of all, they are tandem tests, and that means that each driver has to race the other to stay in the competition. 16 drivers have been invited, and it's a straight knockout event. The practice is not allowed, but they are allowed to look over the course on foot. And so what of the lineup? Well, it's really terrific. In the first heat, we've got Robert Dixon, the new Northern Ireland champion. Heat 3, look out for Glenn Simpson from the north of England, and he's a champion up there. Then in Heat 4, the great Dermot Carnegie, 10 times winner of the Houston Championship. Heat 6, Colin Ernie, a winner last time on television. And in Heat 7, Ken Irwin, and he's one of only 2 men ever to win 4 Autotest championships in 1 year. Heat 8, and that's where the danger man comes. David Haig, the current English champion, and he could pull a lot of surprises. And that's what all this talent is competing for. The fabulous BBC Television Invitation Trophy, a Tyrone Crystal decanter with 6 glasses. Indeed, everybody who gets past the first round gets a tankard. And there's the lineup for Heat 1. Robert Dixon on the right of your screen, and Carl clearly from Dublin on the left of your screen. Dixon, the Northern Ireland champion, just clinched his 5th title today, so he's a very happy man already. And his opposition on this knockout first heat is Carl Cleary, 24 years old, been 4 years in auto testing, and it's a big moment for him and a big challenge to try and beat Robert Dixon. It's a demanding test. It's quite a wide open test. There are 2 mini specials. They're very similar in build, and away they go. Dixon makes a lovely start, handbrakes it into the first line, then straight across the course. They're absolutely together at the moment. Round that one, up into the garage. Got to change direction in the garage. Away they go again, down to the far end of the course, and it's quite a complicated maneuver here. As you can see, just follow Dixon, and you can see how close they are. It's an incredibly close competition. Dixon now seems to have the slight edge. He was very quick into reverse that time. Back he goes, over that line. Now, back down into the garage again, a high-speed change of direction. And it looks at the moment as Dixon is going to be the man to go through, and indeed he does. Ralph Ewing, 35 years old, chartered accountant in his Westfield 7, the very similar car to the Lotus Super 7 with a 1600cc Ford engine. His opposition is this man, Noel Cochrane from Newtonards, 34 years old, a farmer, and a very spectacular man to watch indeed, with his very fast Sidewinder 1600cc Ford Special. These should be evenly matched. Cochrane. Look at the power of that motor car. It's very maneuverable too, but he gets a little bit over-enthusiastic. It's an uphill struggle, though, for Ralph Ewing. Ralph Ewing, who's been out of auto testing for 2 years, but he's holding on well now. He's certainly gained in that part of the course. Round they come. The long reserve. Cochrane. And Cochrane may have had a penalty there. We think Cochrane may have had a 5-second penalty. And that is going to put him, of course, right out of the running. And Ewing certainly has got right ahead. Cochrane made a big mistake in direction. He's got lost in that one. Ralph Ewing comes over the finish line and gets through, and that's the first major surprise. And now Linda Bryan speaks to Ralph Ewing.
Well, Ralph, you beat Noel Cochrane there. Is that a bit of a surprise for you?
It was, really, yeah. Noel and I have been adversaries for quite a number of years now, and 99 times out of 100 he has the upper hand.
So you're through to the next round. Are you happy about that?
I'm glad this is the 100th time.
Glenn Simpson from York, 28 years old, and the Association of Northern Motor Clubs champion in his mini special. Against him in round one is Eamon Byrne from Dublin, 29 years old, and incidentally part of the Carnegie family. So it's a tremendous battle between these two. There is Simpson on the right of your screen, Eamon Byrne on the left, about to go any minute, and a nice clean start by the English driver. He's fractionally ahead of Byrne at the moment. And you can see now the advantage he's got. Throws it nicely out of the garage and just finishes that pylon. He was dangerously close to it, and if anything now Byrne has caught up and may be ahead. But Simpson was quick out of there. 1300cc mini special that Simpson has, as opposed to a 12.75 of the Dublin, or to be more accurate, Delgany man. And Simpson travelled a long way here with sponsors Autotest, and he's just about going to take that one, but that was close. Well, a lot of experience in this heat. Norman Ferguson, 41 years old, from Stewartstown. He's been in auto testing for more years than probably care to mention. And against him, Dermot Carnegie, the 10 times Irish Hewison champion. And this is a real battle of the giants here. They've come up against each other many, many times before. It has to be said that Carnegie usually comes out the winner, but we've already had surprises here today at Carrickfergus. Carnegie off in the blue car. Watch these masters at work. On the handbrake, round the pylon. Carnegie has the edge. Beautifully into reverse, change of direction. And that pylon is very dangerous. You can see Carnegie is well ahead now. Again, change of direction, over the line. They must straddle that line. Round they come, Carnegie still ahead. Long reverse, again over the line. And you can see the advantage. It was about 1.5 seconds there, possibly. Carnegie's through the garage first, and only a mistake can help him lose it. And indeed, Norman Ferguson is the man that made the mistake and goes out of the competition. And this is real championship class, this one, because there was the 1985 Northern Ireland champion, and he's indeed been twice Republic of Ireland champion, the motor mechanic from Stewartstown. Up against him, the great Ken Irwin. And there he is, and look at that string of titles to his name. The only man ever to take the 4 titles, apart from John Lyons, one should say. Both people from Castlederg, and a great honour indeed it was. It's going to be a tremendous tussle. The beach buggy on the left versus the 1400cc mini special nearest us. And it's very close indeed at the moment. There's Speedy, as he's known to his pals. But this is young Sam Bowden. Right round that one. In reverse. And Bowden completely ahead now, ahead of the great Ken Irwin. And Sam Bowden now comes, and that's an extraordinary result. That really is the major upset so far. Bowden takes it by a long shot.
Well, it wasn't a particularly good result for you, Ken. How do you feel about that?
No, well, I was put out there, but I knew it was going to be very, very tough at the first time. For Sam was really one of the quickest here today, and although at a jump start, I was watching the lights and I jumped, and I knew I wanted to get away as quick as possible. But I'm really enjoying it, and it was very, very good. And I was sorry I was put out, but that's the way.
Any tips as to who might win today?
Well, I would say David Haig, British champion, and Robert Dixon, and I would say Sam and Wally Rutherford is going to be the 4 to the final, I would say anyway, you know. But anything can happen on a knockout. You're always tense, and you're always, any wee thing can happen, but you're always waiting for something like that to happen, watching the other man too, you know.
So Colin Ernie, a winner last time we did this exercise on television, and now he's, however, in a mini special, and this is 12.75cc one. Against him, the very experienced Larne driver, 32 years old, indeed having his 2nd wedding anniversary today, William Rutherford, in a 1400cc mini special. Concentrating on the lights, ready to go now. It should be a very equal battle indeed between these two. A little bit of creeping there by Colin Early, but it's all right, he didn't break the line. Rutherford seems to have the slight edge just at the moment. Colin Early really going to have to go for this one. And I think he's probably caught up at this stage. It's very close indeed. Oh, and it's problems. Ernie's broken either a drive shaft or a gearbox. He's out of the car. He's given it to William Rutherford. What a shame, because he was putting up a superb struggle. Rutherford gets through and Ernie retires. And there he is, disconsolately pushing away the little mini special. And I'm afraid that's the last we're going to see of him. So what do the top drivers do between runs? Well, the answer is they relax. We've got Ken Irwin, Robert Dixon, Sam Bowden and Dermot Carnegie taking in the Carrick Sun at the moment. Mervyn Williamson, 35 years old, from Antrim, an agricultural engineer, in his 1600cc Volkswagen Special. Against him, Stephen Rennie, one of the up-and-coming new stars of auto testing, 24 years old, from Armagh, and a recently qualified doctor. Here we go. He's been runner-up in the Northern Ireland Championship for the last 3 years, and surely real greatness is not far away for young Stephen Rennie. But what a brave fight Mervyn Williamson putting up at the moment. Probably hasn't got the power and the maneuverability now. It's beginning to show as Stephen Rennie pulls ahead. You can see him on the left of your screen. But Williamson hasn't made the slightest mistake. He's a little bit slow getting into the garage there. And really he's right out of it now. But still putting up a very game effort. He was the 1987 class winner in the Northern Ireland Championships. But Stephen Rennie, if he doesn't hit anything, because if he does, it's a 5-second penalty, is going to go through. And that was a beautiful and very decisive heat win. There's Williamson coming through. Gallant effort, but not there today. Well, if ever there was a variety of machinery, this heat has it. This is David Haig in his home-built special with a Nissan 120 engine. And this is the champion of England, elect in 1988 and confirmed in 86 and 87. Against him, George McMillan from Ballyclare in his very interesting Agnew Spider. And this is, in fact, a Volkswagen engine underneath that beautiful imitation Porsche Spider RSK 60 body. So, a hard task indeed for George McMillan, and watch this champion, he is incredible. Look at the car leap away from the line. George fighting nobly in the background, but really he's up against it. David Haig must be one of the favourites for this event, and the way he's going at the moment, I would imagine, is bringing a lot of fear to the Irish competitors as they watch him at work. There's George McMillan, 29 years old, a Porsche mechanic, really working hard. But I'm afraid he's going to have a little miracle if he's going to catch Haig. Haig easily takes it. We have to wait now for George McMillan, who's still coming out of the garage. But what a beautiful little motor car this is. And there he goes over the finish line. Good effort, but not quite there yet. So there's the quarter-final situation. Robert Dixon faces Ewing. It's Simpson versus Carnegie. Bowden versus Rutherford. And Rennie versus Haig. Mervyn Williamson, who put up such a great fight in his heat, now gives family tours in his beach buggy round the Carrickfergus car park. So Robert Dixon will lead off the quarter-finals. And this multi-champion, there's the man who's up against him. Ralph Ewing, absolutely delighted to have got this far, but with a real uphill task now ahead of him. Dixon comes towards us, handbraking it in. And you can see the advantage that the little mini special has already over the Westfield 7. Not for the lack of trying, however, by the man from Glengormley on the right. It's a much bigger car, it's harder to maneuver, and he's really having a go for it. But he's a long way down on 35-year-old Dixon, and here he comes. What a superb day he's had so far. No problem getting into the quarterfinals and now looking like no problem getting into the semi-finals. And there he is, over the finish line already, a little bit exhausted by the experience, but Ralph Ewing will not go away from Carrickfergus unhappy. He's got a cut-glass tankard to take home with him. Dermot Carnegie concentrating on the lights. Up against him is Glenn Simpson. We've champions from both sides of the pond here in this one. So Carnegie from Dublin on your left, and there's Glenn Simpson from York, and he was very close to that ball, and that's lost him time, valuable time. It must be Carnegie ahead at the moment, but he didn't actually hit it, so he doesn't get the 5-second penalty, and really looks like the Yorkman's going to go out of this one. Carnegie well ahead now. Look at him working there. The knob on the steering wheel, spinning it round, all the tricks of the trade. Having to change gear while the wheels are locked up. Glenn Simpson, second in the BTRDA Championship and third in the RAC Championship last year, but this is the man that's going to put him out of the competition comfortably. So Carnegie goes through to the semi-finals.
Well, there was great concentration in your eyes there when you started that race. Was it a good race for you?
Yes, I was determined to keep in front if I could, and try and beat him so I get into another round. I didn't watch him at all, but I just tried to get there as quick as I could.
William Rutherford, who was slightly lucky when Colin Ernie went out with mechanical problems in the previous round, but here he is now in the quarterfinals, and up against him Sam Bowden, who has already beaten Ken Irwin to get there. So it promises to be a mighty struggle between these two 1400cc mini specials. So William Rutherford on the right, Sam Bowden in the yellow one on your left. Rutherford looking very neat at the moment, and they're absolutely together. Rutherford, the 78, 79 and 84 Northern Ireland champion, and Sam Bowden, the 85 Northern Ireland champion, but Rutherford's now undoubtedly ahead, well ahead now. But there is a penalty for Rutherford. We see a 5-second problem there, and this could well mean that it's Sam Bowden, in fact, who finishes a long way back on the road that gets through. And I think that is the situation. So William Rutherford got lost out there, and that was a grave mistake for a very experienced man and a stalwart of the Larne Motor Club, but he's taking it. It looks as if he's taking the blame himself.
William, you were leading there until halfway up. What happened?
Well, I was really a bit under pressure because I was dealing with Sam Bowden, who in my opinion is about the fastest man in the game here, so I was really a bit nervous about it, and I just simply took a wrong direction, and that has cost me very dearly, so I'm afraid I'm going to have to pack the whole thing up and put it back in the trailer.
David Haig waiting for his quarter-final run. The man very much fancied here today at Carrickfergus. Very tense, as you can see, the English champion at the moment. And there's the equally tense face of Stephen Rainey from Armagh, 24 years old, runner-up in the Northern Ireland Championships now for a number of years, and a chance for greatness to beat the English champion this time. But look at the power of that little Nissan engine special. It really is incredible. And already it is streets ahead of Stephen Rainey, and that's no mean achievement. He's going round that pylon as Rainey is only beginning to complete it now. This is the place that they've got to watch themselves, because it's very easy to get lost here. Round he goes again, now the long reverse. Back over the far line, and Rainey indeed has caught up a little bit of ground there, but not enough at the moment. In fact, David Haig made a slight mistake there and only just got it at the end. So Stephen Rainey really nearly pulled it off in the dying seconds that time, but it is David Haig, and I would say a very relieved David Haig, who now goes into the semi-finals.
Well, David, you were well in the lead until halfway through, and then something slowed you up. What happened there?
Yes, the front end just got away from me, as it's a characteristic of this car, being rear-wheel drive.
Well, you're the current champion. Are you well keyed up about this contest?
Yes, it's a good competition.
But you're enjoying your day here anyway?
Oh, it's a good day. I always enjoy myself in Northern Ireland.
Well, motorsport not the only sport that's happening in Carrickfergus or off Carrickfergus today. Looking across Belfast Bay there to the hills of County Down in the background, and somebody or a number of people out there obviously enjoying themselves in the very brisk wind that is blowing off the loch today. So with the semi-finals ahead of us, sadly some are packing their cars back in the transporter. George McMillan in that very distinct Porsche-bodied Volkswagen. Very interesting car with a very long history, and indeed those movie buffs who will remember James Dean will know that he sadly lost his life in a very similar motor car to that. And the semi-final drawn, as we can see, it's champions all the way. Dixon coming through, the Northern Ireland champion, versus the Republic of Ireland champion, Dermot Carnegie, down at the bottom of the page. Sam Bowden, he's had a tremendous run so far today, and he will be up against possibly the toughest one of all, David Haig, in that very, very special Haig Special. Well, this is a big moment for Sam Bowden as he walks the course in the actual direction that he will be taking, because he's up against the three other multi-champions, Robert Dixon, Dermot Carnegie and David Haig, and he really's got to get this one right. Round they go. Look, searching for those pylons, judging the width of his motor car, and you see he goes into reverse at that point. It's rather a strange thing to watch. Goes round the pylon in reverse, changes direction again, trying to remember that one, and looks a little bit confused about the whole thing, and then into the forestry section. There's Robert Dixon at the same situation, discussing it now with Dermot Carnegie. And that's all the body sways that they're going to be doing in a minute or two. And so we come to the start of the semi-finals, and it's Robert Dixon, the Northern Ireland champion, versus Dermot Carnegie, the Southern champion. And as you can see, the weather has played a cruel card here for these two. It's equal for both, but it's absolutely bucketing down here at Carrickfergus now. It's going to make it far trickier. It's a new course. There's a slalom down the centre of it. They've got a reverse, forward, a reverse, and then forward down it. And there's very little in it at the moment. Very little in it indeed, but Dixon is slightly ahead. Now he goes round this central pylon in the middle of the garage. Still Dixon ahead. It looks like Dermot Carnegie is going to be dropped out of this one, as long as they both can remember the way. Dixon's got it perfectly, but he's at least a test ahead now of Carnegie. Dixon on the far side, Carnegie on this, and look at the enormous advantage that Robert Dixon has at the moment. Dermot Carnegie getting soaked and a little bit, I would imagine, cheesed off at the moment, and he's not able to make up that advantage. Down they come through the slalom again in a forward direction. This time it's a very tight one at the end there indeed, and over the finish line, and in fact it was Robert Dixon who goes through to the final. And he only just made it because, once again, these champions never give up. Dermot Carnegie really closed the gap at the end, but Dixon, I think, quite relieved there to get himself into the final. Now there's the man, David Haig, that everybody's eyes are on. 32 years old. He's going to possibly meet Robert Dixon in the final, but first of all he's got to beat this man from Stewartstown, 27-year-old Sam Bowden. So it's the Nissan engined special on the right of your screen versus the 1400cc mini special on the far side. And at this moment it would seem very much that Sam Bowden is ahead. Now this is quite an upset. Sam Bowden is definitely ahead, the Northern Ireland driver, against the English champion at the moment. And he's gaining, obviously, the mini special, and Sam Bowden preferring the wet conditions. David Haig just not getting the traction there. But it's so easy to make a mistake. Still Bowden leads. Down into the garage, and off they go round this slam. Forward direction. There's David Haig still trying very hard, and you can see how tight it is, but Bowden gets through. What an upset. So Bowden will meet Robert Dixon in the final, and the British champion, David Haig, is out.
Well, a bit of a surprise result for you. How do you feel about that race?
Well, a wee prayer there helped there. The rain just made all the difference there. David just can't get the traction the minute he can get in the rain. So it's lucky maybe.
So the weather conditions were good for you?
Well, the shining away from me there.
So how do you feel about the final?
Well, it's going to be very tight, but I hope my luck's with me. I can only hope. Me and Robert is a good battle all year now, and it's just the final showdown now.
Well, it's double distance for the final of this race. Is that going to make any difference to you?
It'll just be whoever's the fittest now, one will not be who's maybe driving the best. Well, it gives a bit more entertainment and a bit more of a chance for make up for mistakes too.
Add a bit more of excitement to it, will it?
It should do, I know.
So there is the path that Robert Dixon has taken to get through to the final, and obviously the biggest hurdle was Carnegie, and there's the man he's going to meet, Sam Bowden. Sam Bowden has shown that he can take on the big pressure. He's already beaten the British champion. Now he's got to beat the Northern Ireland one, the current Northern Ireland one. The loneliness of a long-distance finalist. Robert Dixon just checking the course for the last time. Double in length this time. He's got to go through it exactly twice, and that's just what he's checking there. He's just come off the end of the first run, and now he's checking how that's going to affect him when he goes out onto his second run. Nearly got lost there himself, and there's Sam Bowden doing exactly the same thing at exactly the same time. And I wonder, will they be just as close as this when they actually come to get in their cars in a minute or two? So now it's time for the big moment for the BBC Invitation Trophy. And there's Robert Dixon, and there are just some of his many credentials in auto testing. But once again, the pressure's on because Sam Bowden alongside him, almost 10 years younger, but again with a lot of string of success already to his credit. We have, they've both known what it's like to be Northern Ireland champion. They're up against it now. They're in exactly similar cars. It's dried out again, and here we go. It's double length test, remember. Dixon into the slalom. They're absolutely together. Bowden at the far side. If anything, Bowden's slightly ahead at the moment. Yes, Bowden is ahead. So, can the multi-champion Robert Dixon be beaten here today? It's looking like it at the moment. Sam Bowden is absolutely lit up. Look at the concert, and Dixon's gone. Totally gone. What a disaster. Sam Bowden is got to go on now his lonely test. He mustn't make any mistakes. He may not even be aware of the fact that his great adversary, Robert Dixon, is totally dejected at the far side of the car park. It may be a mistake, it may be a mechanical error. We can't tell at this stage. Bowden, meanwhile, oh, he was very close to the ball at that time. That would add 5 seconds on. I don't think he's aware of the fact that Dixon isn't there, but surely now he must begin to see this problem. So Sam Bowden, it's a victory run now. He will be probably a little bit disappointed to win it in this way, but that is motorsport. Mechanical breakdowns can always play a disastrous blow. So Sam Bowden showing us his mastery in a motor car as he uses the handbrake. And look at the way the hands are twirling on the wheel there. Concentrated over the finish line. He's won it. He's worked hard for it. But he is the BBC Invitation Trophy. And let's not forget the very sad situation as Robert Dixon pushes his Canes of Cumber motor car over the finish line. Understandably, totally disappointed. So Drew Gregg of Autotest, the co-sponsors of the event, handing out the awards of the people who got through the first round, including David Haig, British champion. There's Stephen Rainey, who went extremely well. Another one of our English visitors, Glenn Simpson. William Rutherford, who got considerably lost here in the car park. And then, of course, the hard luck story of Robert Dixon, who was in the final but had a drive shaft go. there's Sam Bowden taking the BBC Invitation Trophy from Drew Gregg of Autotest, the co-sponsors of the event, and what an excellent day he's had. Robert Dixon, we have to feel very sorry for you. What happened out there today?
The drive shaft broke just at the crucial moment of letting the clutch out, and there's nothing I could do about it.
Of course, this is a very vulnerable part in a mini special, indeed anything in auto testing.
Yeah, so I'll be taking it back to Keynes in the morning for warranty work anyway.
Now, it gets an awful lot of wear, that, because you're going backwards and forwards, you're putting terrific load onto a part like that.
Yes, well, it's parts that will really tend to change mid-season and things like that, but really you can't, once you put one in, you just don't know when it's going to break, so that's the way it goes.
But it hasn't been all bad news today. You've ended up with the Northern Ireland Championship for the 5th time.
Yes, this fella here fell asleep halfway through the season and let me in, so he's come good at the end of the season, and I must admit now he really deserved to win here today.
Well, Sam, I suppose it's slightly disappointing that you have such a runaway victory in the end there.
Well, it does. I'd prefer to beat him fair and square, and it'd been more memorable to me, like, but it's nice beating him the whole time.
It has to be said you were ahead at the time, though.
Well, it's nice somebody said that. I don't know.
And you fairly knocked out some heavyweights on the way.
Well, I think luck was with me all day today, and this near time she was with me.
You had a little bit of luck there when the rain came down, because David Haig looked to be very strong.
That's right. Now, David would probably have beaten me if it hadn't been further wet, so I think somebody up there.
So you're going to be rallycrossing in the winter?
No, I don't think so. I sold the car there through the summer, and unless somebody gives me a lot of money, I'll not be out again.
So what about next year?
Well, back to the test. It's the only form of sport that you can really do cheaply and enjoy.
So Sam Bowden leaves Carrickfergus a happy man with the Larne Motor Club Run event. He defeated some very good people along the way, including, of course, the great Ken Irwin and the British champion, and, of course, the mechanical bother that came to his adversary at the very end. That's auto testing, I'm afraid. But it was Sam Bowden's day, and an excellent result for this man who obviously has a big future in the sport.